Good Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances. And through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's always delighted to be with you here in the studio for the broadcast. I hope that you're having a great weekend on this Sunday afternoon, and I hope that you're finding an opportunity perhaps to anticipate the many things that we'll be reflecting on over this Memorial Day weekend holiday. Of course, it's a time that we take a little bit of pause from perhaps the regular anticipated day-to-day activities and reflect on the ultimate sacrifices that many have made so that you and I can be safe. I think about my cousin, Samuel Lieutenant, who lost his life over Austria in the closing days of World War II, an original Tuskegee Airman, and all of the many others who throughout wars in our nation have lost their lives. This is a time for us to pay tribute to those individuals, and by doing so, we say that their sacrifices, their great sacrifices, were not made in vain. So I don't always say happy Memorial Day weekend, but I always think about Memorial Day weekend in a reflective way, as I think it should be done. I'm Kenny Anderson, as always, delighted to be here with you in the studio for the broadcast Second Chance. We've been here now for 33 and a half years. That's the magic word. And the fact that we are still here, still excited about being here, and still anxious to hear about all the great information that all my guests have to share is extremely valuable. So if you're listening this afternoon at Praise 90.1 FM, which is the radio station, we welcome you to the broadcast. If you're listening this afternoon on WJOU.org, which means that you're listening somewhere in the nation or the world on the internet, we welcome you to the broadcast. And if you're listening this afternoon because you have decided to give yourself something special, and that's the gift of the live stream on YouTube or Facebook at Praise 90.1 FM, we welcome each and every one of you to the broadcast on this very special day. Now, if you saw the show last week, and I'm saying that means you were actually logged on to the live stream, you actually witnessed something that was very traumatic to me. That was my three friends, and I'm going to call their names right now: David Person, Dr. Leon Seard, and Dr. Freddie Russell. In their own twisted way of empathizing with their very good friend, shared with me the results of the Knicks Indiana Pacers game last week, right here on the air. You might have seen it if you were watching last week. And of course, I've been traumatized now for a whole week because my Knicks are out of it now, but I am enjoying the NBA playoffs still. And I hope that if your team is in there still, right on to you, shout out to you. I just know that it's going to be a great series. We got some great conversations today, too, and I'm going to dive right in right now by introducing my first two guests on the broadcast. Dr. James Strong is pastor and executive director of Fountain of Life Community Development Corporation right here in Huntsville, Alabama. He has volunteered to provide his services for the past 25 years. Dr. Strong inspires others to strive for greater despite many obstacles that may try to hinder progress. He is a man of utmost character, a visionary who loves helping people, and his motto is building better communities, connecting as one. He's been on our broadcast before, so he has a standing invitation to come whenever he chooses to. Dr. Strong, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing wonderful, Kenny, and thank you for allowing me to come back on your show And to all of your listeners, I am just grateful and thankful for God blessing me to see another day more than anything. But I thank God for having the opportunity to come on this day and share some of the things we are doing here at the Fountain. We are trying our best to help our young people to go to college and achieve their education. And Lord has blessed us to be able to help many over these many years that we've been in the ministry here, and especially through our CDC, which will have our scholarship. And that scholarship is Building Better People Scholarship. In the time we live in now, it is very necessary that our children get a quality education so they can be able to compete in society. If you don't get a quality education, then you'll be left behind.
Absolutely. And I always say, even today, that education is that great equalizer that just kind of evens out the playing field and gives everybody an opportunity to succeed. And when I think about education, there are educators and then there are educators.
Yes.
My second guest is Delinda Morris. I think she is an extraordinary educator for lots and lots of reasons that she certainly knows and understands.
Yes.
Delinda is the volunteer assistant executive director of Fountain of Life Community Development Corporation. She currently serves as a curriculum specialist with the Huntsville City Schools. Her career spans a variety of experiences and collaborations with the community. She is always up front and center with that big smile on her face, as you can see right now. See, folks, you're missing it if you're not on the live feed right now. You got to get over to the live stream right now so you can see the glow that Delinda brings to this broadcast. She also has a standing invitation to this broadcast because she always brings positive light and positive energy. Delinda, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm extremely well. I'm in the midst of greatness. Dr. Strong and Kenny Anderson.
Wow. Well, you can only say that because we know from whom our strength comes. Amen. And our greatness, if any, comes from. It's only in the light of his love, his grace, and his mercy. So, listen, I'm so happy to have you here this afternoon. We saw each other in several events recently. You are a recent graduate of the Civic Engagement Academy of the city of Huntsville. And, of course, you're doing some great things. I've had a chance to come to your school, of course, and read, which is always one of the highlights of my year. And that's something that wouldn't take a lot. I don't tell you this often, but it wouldn't take a lot to get me over there more often because I probably would find myself spending a lot of time at Morris School if Delinda asked me to come on a more consistent basis. So, shh, quiet. Don't ask me too much, but you know I'll come when you ask me.
Indeed. I will ask you several more times because you're always welcome.
Thank you so much. You guys are always so welcome and accommodating, too. Dr. Strong, I mentioned in introducing you 25 years as a volunteer in this space, and I think that's lost sometimes in terms of people's understanding of the level of commitment and investment that one makes to a particular cause. And sometimes it's real easy, too, to kind of absorb it within the context of your call to ministry and say, well, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. But talk to me a little bit about the investment that you've made over this length of time and the impact that it has made, not just on those who you serve, but on yourself.
Well, Brother Kenny, I kind of do a role. I'm the pastor of Fountain of Life Ministries. I'm executive director of the CDC. So I'm running both of them at the same time. And it has impacted my life because I remember someone poured into me and encouraged me. And I get a joy when I see a young person go on and achieve high levels of success. If maybe all of them don't go to 4-year college. Some may go to 2-year college. Some may get a technical trade. But when I see them able to compete in life, be able to take care of themselves, to have families and stuff, it really encourages me to continue to do. Sometimes when you're doing, and if you don't see the results, it can be sometimes depressing. And I can say over the 25 years that I've been running the fountain in the CDC, and of course I've been in ministry now for 46 years, and so you know, that's scripture in the Gospels when you talk about, Jesus said, you fed me, you clothed me, you came to visit me when I was in prison, you did all these things. And they asked the question, when did we do these things, God? He said, when you done them to the least, you done them to me. So that's the way I look at things.
Yeah, listen, that's actually my favorite text of scripture, because it is the scripture that most gives me a sense of context.
Yes.
In terms of what my responsibility is to my God,
Right.
as I move through this earth and through this experience we call life. Delinda, you have been energized in this space at the Fountain. You, of course, have been squarely involved with the education of young people. A lot of people, and I don't hear this as much as I used to hear it, but a lot of people say disparaging things about young people. At the same time, I think that young people are our best hope for the future. And when I say the future, I'm not characterizing sometime 5, 10, 15 years down the line. I'm talking about now. I think we have some extraordinary young people who are out there right now. You have some that are spiritually grounded, some who are very, very passionate, invested in their families and their studies and their education. What do you learn from working around young people? I know you're an educator, you're giving something to them, but what are they giving to you in the process?
That's an excellent question, Kenny. They give us life. They offer so many new opportunities. Every day they have insightful information, and they keep us abreast of new things. So, yes, you're indeed correct. Every conversation that I have with young people, they are so looking for some way to give back. They are curious, they have solutions. So my answer to your question is that the youth have everything that we're looking for. We just need to look for them. They need a mentor, and we will work together to create solutions.
Now, you all have regular activities that, of course, are community focused. I've been involved in some of those before, and I've always been inspired about the Fountain's outward effort, its outreach to the community. And I'm sure at the very heart of what the Fountain stands for and what it represents in the community is this thing of not just coming into the house and being fed and nurtured, but then taking whatever you have been inspired to do in terms of your own personal spiritual transformation and then sharing that with the community. Am I on point there, Dr. Strong?
Absolutely. I just believe that a church that is not reaching outward is not a real church way God would want us to be. I think, we come and get motivated. We come and get information how to do, and then we take that information to the public and serve. We got a normal outreach things that we do here at the Fountain. We, as I said, of course, the scholarship that we back what we have every year. We have we give away clothes. We have community day where we give away clothes, food, and stuff. During Thanksgiving, we serve about 100 people or more during Thanksgiving time. And throughout the year, we are constantly doing some things in our community. And we want the southwest part of Huntsville to know that we're here. We're here to serve them. All of them may not come into the walls, but we can take Jesus to them.
Absolutely. And I'm always of the mind of, the real measure of the relevance of a congregation is if that congregation suddenly disappeared, would it really matter to that community in which it existed?
So true.
That's always a good measure. Delinda, you, of course, are one of the people who are out front sharing information about what's happening in this particular space that you're operating in. And you do have a big event that takes place every year where you have the opportunity to give out scholarships. Talk to me a little bit about that.
And so every year, again, we have given scholarships out to students, and they have received. In one particular year, we gave out 9 scholarships. Each year, the number is increasing. And every student who receives a Dr. James Strong scholarship, they are successful. They are pursuing careers. They are working in their fields. Every scholarship that Dr. James Strong has given to students has been successful. So every year, this great event is what we look forward to. It's just seeing the fruit of the seed that was planted many years ago.
Yeah. And when does it take place?
All right, this year the scholarship will take place June the 15th here at Fountain of Life Ministries. Because of the visionary and our new facility, we're able to have the scholarship banquet at Fountain of Life Ministries.
And it's located where, and where can
It's
people get
located
information?
at 15 Triana Boulevard, Huntsville, Alabama, Southwest 35805. We will, of course, at the banquet, we charge for the banquet to assist with the scholarships. And we have tickets available now for $40.
Yeah. So where would people get that information from?
All right. They can contact 256-513-9344. That is the number for any questions that they might have after the broadcast. And they can also DM our Facebook Messenger at Fountain of Life Community Development Corporation. That's our Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, listen, the work that you all are doing is so significant and so important. And I pray that God will continue to bless you in terms of what you're doing. It's not a question as to whether or not God will bless us. It's really only a matter of how much will he bless us, because he said that he will open up the windows of heaven and pour us out a blessing that there will not be room enough to receive it. And so I never think about capacity when it comes to God. His cup is always going to be overflowing if it's
Amen.
extended from him. Dr. James Strong, Delinda Morris, thank you so much for this opportunity. You know, Dr. Strong, I got to shout you out now because you're going a little double on me today with that A&M T-shirt over there. Go Bulldogs!
Go Bulldog. I know for a fact you got your master's from A&M.
I sure did. And listen, I am a proud Bulldog today. So my wife got her bachelor's from A&M. So we're a Bulldog family. And we love the university and everything that it represents to this community and to the world. So thank you all so much for being with me today.
And thank you for having us on. And we look forward to coming back and be with you again.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Dr. James Strong and Delinda Morris joining me this afternoon for a conversation about an initiative that is so valuable and so important and making a huge difference in our world today. And that's really what the Second Chance broadcast is all about, initiatives that are making a huge difference. I'm going to bring on another person who's making a huge difference in the community. And he's kind of working with some other people too, but he tends to be the voice of the particular initiative. He's none other than Dr. Denver Betts. And Dr. Betts is here today to talk to me for just about 6 seconds. No, I'm going to give you a little more than that, Doc. He's here today to talk to me a little bit about the Huntsville Bible College, which is an institution in our community. If you don't know anything about this facility, you do need to know about the Huntsville Bible College. Dr. Betts, welcome back to the broadcast.
Oh, thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure being with you. See you
always
someplace else rather than the city running around doing your job, right?
Man, look.
So much good.
No, look, it's always good to have you and always good to see you as well, because I know you're always in the middle of some good stuff. The last time I saw you, actually, was for the installation service of your new president.
Yes.
And, of course, that was a major event that I was very honored to be a part of, and have been a longtime supporter of the Huntsville Bible College and what it represents to our community. tell us briefly about what the Huntsville Bible College is.
Well, thank you, Ken. And thank you so much for coming out and gracing us with your appearance at that very important, I think, historic program for us. The Huntsville Bible College has been around here for about 31 years now, 32 years. And started here as a small Bible school. Now it's a full-blown accredited college institution offering certificates through doctoral programs, and it's here to try to provide things for the religious community here, and the education is all net around. There are some regular courses and stuff for folks to take, for business and things like that to support church services. But for the most part, it's here to support the religious community, to provide religious education, religious preparation for ministers and lay people who are part of the churches, and provide an education outlet for them that's an accredited at the situation they can build on with other programs that they like. But it's here to provide the support to the religious community from the educational standpoint of view for all the programs required to run religious organizations for the most part.
Yeah, so if a person has been called to the ministry, there have always been opportunities for a person to be able to advance their education, but sometimes that opportunity has not been a localized opportunity, one that would allow them to continue to stay home perhaps and take care of their family or work responsibilities and more. But this is right here in the community, providing an opportunity for people, not just in the city, but in the county and perhaps even a region, to benefit from the services that are being provided through the academic arena.
Right. And Ken, we've been doing it for a while, and recognizing what you just mentioned, this community is in bad need of an institution like this. But we also do online stuff, and we service people all over the country from that standpoint of view. But our focus is for the Tennessee Valley folks, the folks around here that can come to classes, take classes online, pick up certification courses. Even if you're a minister now, you want to pick up some certification courses and a particular portion of it. If you're a lay person working in the ministry, you want to pick up some more information about how to do that, some more education about how to do that. But it is, I think, and right now it's about the only one in the Tennessee Valley, had to go to Birmingham or Nashville, to get religious education, accredited religious information. So I think we're filling a void here, filling a necessary spot in the community in terms of education for folks in the spiritual realm.
Yeah. And listen, I was just sharing with somebody last week. I was at a training conference, and we know sometimes these training conferences can get real academic. And so people almost feel guilty about laughing and, experiencing humor. And my perspective is this, that whatever we're pursuing can be just as much fun as anything that we may be learning in the academic space. So the Huntsville Bible College had the good mind to establish an initiative that celebrates this institution and allows people to come into a space to experience motivation and inspiration and a spirit of community. So this is just about that time of year when that happens. Tell us about what's about to go down.
It is, Ken. As a matter of fact, it's happening on June 7th at the Von Braun Civic Center in the East Hall. Is our annual celebration and banquet and fundraiser, if you will, from that standpoint of view, the Vision Banquet. It's our 31st year doing Vision Banquet at that place, And it's there to, provide, as well as provide funds for the institution. It's also there to recognize various people in the community. This year, we're recognizing our spiritual leaders, and we're giving a bunch of awards to people at the various churches that the church have nominated for awards to pick those up. So we're trying to not only provide a service to the community, but to also recognize folks that have helped us get to the point to where we are now. And the Vision Banquet, an aptly named Vision Banquet, is for that purpose, for us to continue to try to service the community, thank the community for helping us to become what we need to be for the community, get ideas and things like that, but to bring us all together, to celebrate, the update on how the institution is coming along, and to be a part of it. Folks that contribute to it and are part of the institution, we want to remain a part of it. Be a part of the family of the Huntsville Bible College, and to be a part of that. So we're all going to eat together and celebrate together, and this is a great opportunity for us to do that, as well as fundraise for the institution as well. That's one of our big fundraisers. We have three. Wow. We have a golf tournament and a few other things.
Yeah. So this is the 31st year.
31st, Ken.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah. That this institution continues to grow, it continues to diversify, and it continues to provide top-notch quality experiences for people right here on the ground. And that is absolutely amazing. As much as anything, Doc, as I always say to people, is that as I look at from the inside of Huntsville, being a part of that process, all of the great development that we have, and we see buildings going up and jobs are coming to the community and all kinds of activities are being experienced, as much as that's important, I always look at the quality of life issue that's known as education, that's known as community, that's known as our collective ability to come together as one under the banner of faith. And this is just such a powerful institution that I want everybody to know about. And that's why I always make sure to carve out a little time on this broadcast to feature the Huntsville Bible College and the mission that it provides in this community, the services that it offers, and of course, the big vision banquet that takes place every year. So we want people to know where they can get information. We want ticket sales to go up by 50% this afternoon. And just go and sell this thing out this afternoon, all right?
Sure.
Tell people how they can get information about this event and more.
Obviously, more information, if you want to contact the college, you can do that, 256-469-7536. But also, you can donate online at hpc1.edu. Our webpage for doing that has information on it. We'll talk about who's there. I know we got Dr. Marcus Davidson coming in this year to speak as our keynote speaker. And so they're trying to do the same thing. We're selling tables, tickets, individual tickets if you like to do that. So contact the school, go out on the website, take a look at that, and you can pick up the information on doing that. And Ken, while I'm here, let me thank you so much, Ken. You've taught for us at the school and everything else, and you've been a part of everything that we've done. So I really appreciate your efforts in helping us to get the school name out there and to get folks to get familiar with the institution so we can serve more people.
Well, listen, it's been an honor because this institution is truly a gem in this community. And whenever something has value, whenever something has relevance, whenever something's important, especially when it comes to matters of faith, we've been admonished. Don't hide it under a bushel.
Right.
Show that thing, shine it, let somebody know what's going on. So I tell everybody I can about the Huntsville Bible College, and I'll always use this platform as long as I have it to be able to support you in that effort. I want 30 seconds of your time on this last thing that I got to ask you, because if you're like me, and I know you are, we spend significant time in the higher education space. Yeah. This is one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, I am loving the commencement energy on social media all around me. I mean, this is exciting, isn't it?
It really is, and I've attended about 4 graduations already and going to attend some more. My grandson, a third generation Alabama A&M graduated from Alabama A&M this time, and as well as other institutions around, at Athens State, where I spent a considerable amount of time. So I've been to so many graduations, but graduations make me happy to see people achieve goals to do that. And the education community is great around here. And being in a town like this where you can have access to so many of them and have people associated with so many of them, I think it's a really high point for me. I really enjoy it. And I know you're there all the time too. You've taught at colleges and things too. And so I know it's a big event for us at graduation time. And I look forward to it every year.
And I love it, man. I just can't get enough of it. Every time I open up my feed, I see somebody else celebrating their family or friend or loved one, or maybe they're involved in it. And I'm like, this is just one of the most amazing times of year, because I don't think there's anything like walking across that stage after you've accomplished what you've accomplished, and nobody knows what it took to get you to that space. So all the excitement and enthusiasm that you hear in that arena or that auditorium or that church or that facility is expressive of the journey. And I'm just so enamored of that experience.
Well, I think Huntsville Bible College graduation also was a couple of weeks ago too. It's almost it's a Bible college. It's a spiritual college. Well, I tell you what, the spirit gets going at graduation too, when people see the loved ones get across that stage and get certificates and degrees and master's degrees and master's and doctorate degrees. The spirit is high in there, kids. So it's not just a school where we do pop in circumstance. The spirit is high at those times with people celebrating what's taking place there. So we're just so happy to be a part of that from the Huntsville Bible College, from the spiritual aspects of it, because we're seeing people, getting lifted up, to a higher plane, get pressed on to do bigger and better things for the community.
Wow, every round goes higher, higher. Let me stop. Let me get off this thing.
Watch out now.
Hey, I think I'm at WJLU. There might be a Bible in here, and I'm ordained elder, so I might have to take a text.
That's what I'm talking about here,
Dr. Denver Betts, always a pleasure to talk to you, my brother, and I will talk to you again very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having us on and getting that word out. The Vision Banquet on June 7th, okay? Von Braun, thanks again so much for your support and everything that we do.
Absolutely. Have a great day, brother.
You too, sir. We'll see you, buddy.
All right. Dr. Denver Betts joining us for perspective on the Huntsville Bible College, its vision banquet, and its legacy, as it has had a profound impact in our community, on the faith community, and more. And I'm just delighted to always have Dr. Betts on. If you don't know Dr. Betts, you should know him. He's one of the best people I know, and he is good for a laugh. You will be amused around Dr. Betts. That brother's a sense of humor like few others do, and I love being around him. All right, we're going to come back in just a moment. I'm going to play a quick song, and we're going to let the song speak for itself. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having a great afternoon.
With the cup in my hands, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Everybody, with the cup in my hands, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Jehovah God Almighty reigns. Hallelujah. Jehovah reigns. With the dancing on my feet, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Everybody, with the dancing on my feet, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Hallelujah. Jehovah God Almighty reigns. Hallelujah. Living in my body, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Everybody, with the living on my body, living on my body, living on my body, living on my body. Do you believe that it rains? Ooh, Jehovah reigns. Now come on, open up your mouth and shout. With the sound of my voice, I will exhibit my praise to the King. Everybody, shout with the voice of triumph and lyrics now. All praise goes unto our King. Shouting in thy voice, God, I'm gonna give you all the glory and the honor and the praise. Shouting up my voice. Ooh, Lord. Jehovah reigns. Jehovah God Almighty reigns. He's a wonderful King. There's no one that can compare to our mighty, awesome, wonderful God. And I give him all the glory. Jehovah reigns. In my life I can say that he reigns. In my relationships he reigns. With the voice of triumph, declare his praise in the earth. Clap, dance, shout. Tell him how much you thank him. Think about his goodness. Think where he brought you from. Shout, clap, dance, leap, shout. Jehovah reigns.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you are having a good Sunday afternoon. It's an absolutely beautiful day today. And of course, we are enjoying the benefits of a holiday weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend. I definitely want people to be safe, to be mindful. And as I said at the very beginning of the broadcast, I hope that this is an opportunity for us to reflect on the great sacrifices that some have made in the service of our nation. My next guest is Dr. Cynthia Vidu. She is the CEO and founder of CBN Marketing Resource Center, LLC. Welcome to the broadcast this afternoon.
Hey, thank you for having me, Kenny. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you here this afternoon, and it's great to be able to have this conversation. Yeah. We recently had an opportunity to experience the 360 Wealth experience.
Yes.
And and as a consequence of that, we've had some conversations since then about the work that you do. All of us who were there had the chance to be inspired by your own personal story, which is an amazing story. And I like to, in this particular broadcast, talk to people in ways that help them understand that there's life beyond the surface. And by that, I mean, sometimes we get so caught up in what's happening based on what we can see, we forget that either it took someone something to get somewhere, or that the struggle is real, or the challenges are around us all the time. And I thought you'd be a great person to talk to today. You are a business owner, first of all, and I want to start right there because I celebrate business ownership. I celebrate Black women business owners. I celebrate Black excellence. And so you bring all of those things to the table. Talk to me a little bit about your business and how you got it started.
Thank you. So I own CBN Marketing Resource Center, and honestly, I just started the business out of necessity, creating websites and doing brand strategies, and ADA compliance came over a period of time. But initially, I created the business just to supplement my income. And really, I joke about it now being a business by accident, because I didn't necessarily go to school to create websites or to do graphic design or anything like that. I just discovered that I had a gift. And so initially, I just created a website for my church. I just wanted to help and support. And then somebody was like, well, maybe you should try to do this a little bit more. Maybe you have a knack for it, and I think you should pursue it. And that really opened up a door for a connection with a woman, Miss BJ Gray. I don't know if you've ever met Miss BJ Gray, but she ended up being my mentor. And she ended up showing me how to create a business and help me name my company. And honestly, she's the one that really taught me how to get my foot in the door and create those relationships. So initially, it just started out of necessity, wanting to supplement my income, but then it just took off there. I liked having the extra fun. So, it wasn't always like that where I stayed with my business full time every single year. It took years to get to a point of feeling like my business is able to sustain my lifestyle. But initially, it was just to be able to add additional, revenue to my household and be able to do some of the extracurricular things I wanted, or to not feel like I had to choose between my life and my partner. So that's initially how I started my business.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I think, because when you talk to enough people, you realize that there's no one path towards business development and business ownership, that people come to it in different kinds of ways. But I want to go back to something that you suggested earlier, and I want to flesh that out a little bit more, about the value of having a mentor, somebody who cheerleads, somebody who guides you, somebody who puts you under their wing in order to be able to maybe take the next step forward that might involve confidence building, resource development, and so much more. Talk to me a little bit about why that's so essential, as I'm sure you both have experienced it and are probably practicing it now.
Honestly, I would not have been able to learn the different learning curves of business. Like when I first got started in business, I didn't even know how to make an invoice. And as simple as that is today, I didn't know how to do that. And back then, I wasn't using a lot of electronic invoicing in 2014. They had it, but it took me a minute to kind of get to that point. I had standard print-off invoices that my mentor had showed me. Like, this is what you do. You put your price, you put your business information. And I was like, I'm living at home. How am I going to create a business and all of that? She showed me how to get an EIN. I did not know what I didn't know, and I honestly feel like it would have taken so much longer for me to be able to actually change it from being a hobby to a business without the leadership and guidance. I wouldn't have known how to create contracts. She showed me contracts. She had mock contracts that she let me use and put my information in and make sure you have your scope in there. You get a signature here, you get a signature there. And I was like, oh, okay. I really was so green. I did not know, even though all of my life I've been signing contracts, right? If you have things you got to sign for, you've been signing some things since you've been 19 in Alabama. And I just wasn't aware of all of the legalities that go into setting up a business. I didn't know anything about an EIN. Like, I just did not know. And if it wasn't for her taking the time to sit down and say, okay, we need to actually name your business. Somebody asked me the other day, have you ever changed the name of your business? No, it's been that way for 10 years. I've never changed it. I sat down with my mentor one day at Waffle House, and we came up with the name CBeyond, and we've been with it ever since. So I wouldn't have been able to learn these different things if it wasn't for somebody saying I'm taking the time. And even now, even though I don't necessarily identify as a business coach, as a branding strategist, I still go through some of these things with my clients today. I'll ask them, because I have clients that are just beginning, they're budding, and I have clients that are established. For those that are just beginning, I always ask them, okay, well, what do your contracts look like for the terms and conditions on your website? When we start talking about policies, well, what does it look like for your business and organization to be able to serve people online? I don't know. I have no idea, Dr. B. I don't know. So we go through what contracts need to look like, what kind of verbiage needs to be there, what their marketing techniques are going to be. Like, I need to know how we can best protect your brand and business online and your users. So even though I may not do it in a traditional business coach sense, I still offer a solution to help my clients understand the importance of having contracts or trademarks or terms and conditions and policies to support their brand long term.
No one can ever convince me that great things don't happen at Waffle Houses.
Okay.
Other than just the food. No one can do that. And they better not even try.
It definitely does. It definitely does. Waffle House makes millions and millionaires, I believe. Truly.
I do too. I mean, some of the simplest, most basic, fundamental things can be experienced and learned in those kinds of ordinary environments. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about who you think about as your customer or your client.
So I think about business owners that are really looking for a way to create a brand. A lot of people have businesses, right? Once you get the legal part established, you're trying to sell your product, but then you kind of get lost in the sauce when it comes to the type of client that you want to serve. I'm really good with helping my clients to identify that. My clients really need clarity. They have things together. They have a million ideas. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are visionaries. So they're great at delegating. Okay, they're looking for someone to delegate all their tasks to, whether it's marketing, design, strategy. They don't want to have to do all that. What they want to do is say, here's my idea, and I really would love to see this come to pass. I want to implement this and make it into that. And so honestly, that's the majority of my clients, whether they're coaches or consultants. And I've pretty much served in every industry that you could think of. But coaches and consultants, service-based providers, they really are great with what they do for a living, whether they have schools. I have clients that have schools. They're great what they do, but they just can't figure out how to get it out and make sure their audience understands it. And that is where that gap lies. So a lot of my clients, they're great at what they do. Excellent. Actually, they're successful. They make money. But there's a loss in translation when it comes to communicating who they are now to where they're going with their clients. So,
you use the word that I think about a lot because I do a lot of consumer service training in terms of the lost art of customer service, for example. I'll just start right there. But the matter of a brand and a company thinking about themselves as a brand is essential. But I don't often know how much time some companies spend processing that. There's something to be said for it. I'm not going to get into the Apple Android argument that some people like to rope me into. But there's something to be said for why people stand in line at an Apple store for days waiting for a new product. It has everything to do with the brand and what the brand delivers, even to the point that everybody's had an issue with an Apple phone before. If you're an Apple user or any of the Apple products, we've all had issues with those things, but we're right back in line the next time a product is made available. It's because of the brand. Please talk to me. talk to people out there that are listening this afternoon. They may be business owners. They may be thinking about moving into that particular arena. They may have, maybe they're baby businesses, maybe they're well-established businesses. The value of a brand.
Listen, just to your point of Apple alone. I was an Android user. Won't get into the argument over it for a long time, okay? But the problems I was experiencing with not being able to connect all of my devices like I wanted was a frustration. As a designer, I needed certain things in my computer. Like I needed it to be strong. I'm not a big tech person when it comes to RAMs and gigabytes. Give me the biggest one you got because that's what I'm looking for. Apple has a culture, right? They have a culture. People already know they're going to get the upgrades. They've already built in excellence that we already know. When we talk about hacking, it's harder for people to get into their devices. So there's a higher level of security. The systems last a long time. They just do. They hold their value pretty much until something happens and miraculously you've got to get an upgrade. But even with that, you still got several years to have it and use that device. And then the price has gone up significantly where people are now, I've made an investment. This is my computer. This is my camera. This is my phone. They have created, because they used to have an iPod. You remember like the iPod we had back in the day?
Yeah.
We had, CD player. Eventually the CD player portable one kind of went away, and the iPod was what we had. And the iPod became a phone inside of all of it. They started to recognize that people wanted solutions. They didn't have to carry all those devices.
Yeah.
And they started listening to people.
Mm.
They did their research on their customers. They started to learn their behaviors. What do our customers really want? They get a lot of feedback. They get a lot of surveys. When people are trying to create a brand honestly is what differentiates you from your competitors, if in fact you believe you have them. Because honestly, Apple is a world of its own. You can't even plug in other devices into Apple devices now. It has to be an Apple device. And that was done strategically, which means you have to be a returning customer. Okay. When you learn what makes your brand unique, that is how you can, that's like your value proposition. Value proposition has to do with what makes you so valuable to your ideal client. What is it about your brand that's so different, so unique, so great? What is the transformation that you're giving? What's the product or service you're providing that's so good that they really can't go somewhere else? It's a no-brainer for people to just work with you. It makes sense. And you have enough credibility to be able to say our product or service works. A lot of companies miss over the fact about getting surveys. They miss getting reviews. I'm really heavy on, hey, can you leave me a 5-star review? Just like we can ask for the sale, you can ask for the review. Those reviews help build credibility in their life long, whether you're there or not. People are going to go and Google Dr. Cynthia. They're going to Google Kenny Anderson. And guess what they're going to find? They're going to find great credibility because your brand is an excellent brand. People don't understand, like you can have a product all day, you can have a service all day, but it's really the message, the core message of your brand that really sets you apart. It's the experience that people are having. Customer service is huge. How do you communicate with people? How do you follow up with people? What process are you taking people through from inception to going through strategy or production to exiting that? How are you getting people in, on, and off board? What do people feel like? Honestly, people are driven by by emotion more than anything. So how do people feel about a product or service or brand really determines if they're going to go back or not. You can go to a restaurant and have great food, but if the service and the waiter was not that good, how are you going to feel? You can talk about it all day, but you're never going to forget how bad they were, how rude they were. That is what people remember. Branding has to do with priming someone's mind to remember an experience or an event. And when they think about you, what do they think about? Oh, that's great, or not so much. I'm never going back. So honestly, instead of just focusing on just the product and the service that you provide, how are you going to get that service to them? And what experience is built into your brand? Did you even think about the experience you wanted them to have? Is there a welcome packet? Is there an onboarding call? Is there an offboarding call? Are you going to check in with them a couple of times a month to see how they're feeling? Do you send emails out? What are you doing to nurture a relationship? Because branding has to do with the relationship no matter what you're doing. What does the relationship look like if it were to stand alone with you?
You know, wow, everything you just said there is so rich. I hope that there are people that are listening that will take notes and follow up. Perhaps we'll give people a chance to reach out to you as well to begin building a relationship, perhaps, and better understanding of these things. I'm watching the time. We've got probably about 7 minutes left, but I got to get this question in because, again, as I said, at the very beginning, you and I were both at an event recently, and it was focused on, I'll just say, self improvement and our ability to be able to find a sweet spot in our own pathways to success. And of
Yes.
course, you spoke, and after you spoke, and I came behind you, and I mentioned the fact that Bishop Vidu had spoken because because you spoke in a way that, and this is my question, you spoke in a way that I think speaks to the way we find opportunity in life and success in life, and that is you spoke with your authentic voice
Thank you.
and the transparency that you shared with the group and exposed yourself. You made yourself vulnerable to this group of people who are listening to you. To
Yeah.
me, it seems to be a very important dynamic of the kind of things that we're talking about right now. Talk a little bit for the few minutes we have remaining here about speaking your authentic voice and why that should matter.
Woo, if you look at how social media is right now, there's a lot of duplication and copycatting going on. I mean, I'm literally seeing people screenshot other people's posts and then posting it as their own because they want to be positioned or shown as XYZ. They want to have that type of success, but they can't necessarily say they've obtained it on their own. So the only thing that you can do really to differentiate yourself and differentiate your brand is to be authentic. People are looking for realness. They're looking for authenticity. They're looking for what they can relate to. Before I got on that stage, I had sat down and said, I've talked about branding from a high level, all of that, but I really want for people in this room to go past the textbook definition of what branding looks like. I want people to understand that a personal brand comes from your personal story. How are you going to build a personal brand if people don't even know where you come from? This shiny glass, smoke and mirrors version of social media is honestly overwhelming. I don't want to be in that number. I want to be amongst the group of people that say, here's who I am, here's where I came from, but this is where I've gone and here's where I'm going. I want to give people realistic expectations when it comes to success. And again, success is a personal story, it's a personal journey. But there are other people who are starting exactly where I was. And because I don't know everybody's story that was in that room, I might as well give my own because somebody in there was going to be able to identify. People want to be able to see themselves in you. How is somebody going to be able to connect with me and connect with my brand or believe that branding works or believe that web design works or any of those things if they cannot see proof in the pudding? When I talk about reviews, I'm not just talking about other people being able to give their opinions, which does matter because you do need other people to validate the experiences. However, my personal brand experience, my personal life, you can go back months, years online and track the growth. Give people receipts. Receipts are so big nowadays because people, again, I literally see screenshots, people duplicating posts. I've seen people screenshot or type word for word my post because they liked it so much. But here's the thing about duplication. If you're duplicating what somebody else said, can you also duplicate the results? Also duplicate the transformation? Can you get the same results that I got? If you're trying to do it my way, do you really want to live and do all the things I've had to do to get there? Because you don't fully know the story yet. So it's better to be authentic with who you are because you got your own journey. You're going to have your own wins and you're going to have your own struggles. Would you really want to adopt the struggles of someone else to be able to turn around and say, I did it? No, you don't. You just want to show up as you because really you is all you got. God is not making another you right now. So I'm going to need you to show up fully. How are you going to do that? Being honest. Now, being honest and transparent doesn't mean that you pour out all of your business on social media. That's not what I'm saying. But as it relates to your message, right, the message of your brand, when I talk about protecting brands globally, when I talk about that, I'm referring to the compliance aspect of branding. I'm talking about making sure your legal is together while you're growing, okay? But I didn't always have protection as a little girl. I didn't always have that, right? So why does it matter to me so much that I feel protected and that my clients are protected? Because I know what it's like to not have it. I know what it's like for it not to exist. That's my authentic story. What is the message behind your product? What is the message behind your mission? What is your mission? What are you doing? Because it all starts with your authentic story. So if there's nothing else that you have that you can stand on, your authenticity is what you got. So that's why I started there. I didn't want to, come with the facts and all that kind of stuff. And though I have facts in there, I wanted people to be able to feel me first and know I'm with them in this journey, that I'm still on the journey with them, so I can show them step by step, give them a blueprint for how I made it to where I am right now.
Well, you certainly did. I mean, your presentation was impactful. I think that it was resounding in so many ways, as people were absolutely able to relate to it. And I always like to read the audience when a speaker's up, and the audience was engaged in what you were sharing. They were vibing with everything that you were sharing, and they were definitely connecting and relating to it in a very powerful way. And Dr. Vidu, I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place here. Dr. Vidu.
You're good.
Dr. Vidu, would you let people know how they can get in touch with you? You have a social media presence. You have a business that is designed to help people improve and help people grow in the context, in the space of the kinds of things that we're talking about. How would people reach out to you? How would they connect to you? Because I'm going to say it would be absolutely worth making the investment in connecting with Dr. Vidu.
Thank you. Anyone can reach out to me on my website at cynthiavido.com. That's CYNTHIAVIDEAU.com. If you go to my website, just click work with us or contact button. You can contact me there. You can always call my office at 256-770-4550. If you love the phone, I don't mind talking as well. Or if you got a question, you can send me an email at contact@cbeyondmarketing.net, and that's the letter C. So contact@cbeyondmarketing.net, any of those ways. And if you happen to find me on social media, shoot me a DM. I'm on Facebook all the time. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, kind of. But I'm on these other platforms. TikTok, you may have seen some of my TikToks have gone viral, talking about brand awareness as well. So you can find me on any of those platforms, or just Google the website Whisperer. You will definitely find me.
Yeah. Well, listen, I hope people will take your advice and that they will quickly find you, because it will be well worth it. I hope that we can have additional conversations in the future around the work that you're doing, and also your ability to inspire others. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the midst of a wonderful experience this afternoon. What a great show. Dr. Cynthia Vidu joining us this afternoon for perspective and insight on the work that she does in the space that she does it. She's CEO and founder of CBeyond Marketing Resource Center, LLC, and I highly recommend that you check her out and find out what she's doing. Don't even ask her for anything just yet. Just find out what she's doing, why she's doing it, how she's doing it, and what success is she having doing it. And I promise you, you'll be totally satisfied as a consequence of that. We're going to come back in just a moment with another guest, and we'll do that right after we do a little bit of housekeeping. At Second Chance, I'm Kenny Anderson. I hope you're having an amazing afternoon.
Praise 90.1 FM for guidance.
When you can't see a way.
For inspiration.
Take complete control of me.
For upliftment. Giving you continuous reasons to praise. We're Praise 90.1 FM.
I dedicate this song to recession, depression, and unemployment. This song's for you.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart, and it feels like a cold night. Today's a new day, but where are my blue skies? Where is the love and the joy that you promised me? Tell me it's alright.
I'll be honest with you.
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain fell from heaven like a shower.
When I think how much better I'm gonna be when this is over.
Smile,
what you do.
I smile.
Come on and
Smile. It's so hard to look up when you've been down. Sure would hate to see you give up now.
God's people.
You look so much better when you smile. So smile.
Now every day ain't gonna be perfect, but it still don't mean today don't have purpose. Come on.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart, and it feels like a cold night.
It ain't easy, but
today's a new day. But tell me, where are my blue skies?
where is that love, y'all?
Where is the love and the joy that you promised me? Tell me it's alright.
The truth is,
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain.
that Holy Ghost power, y'all.
Fell from heaven like a shower down.
Now I know we've been hurt, y'all, but still,
I smile.
come on.
Even though I hurt, see, I smile.
Yeah, I feel that.
I know God is working, so I smile. Even though I've been it for a while,
Still,
I smile.
hallelujah.
Smile. It's so hard to look up when you've been down. Sure would hate to see you give up now.
God's people,
You look so much better when you smile.
let's go.
Smile for me.
Whoa.
Can you just smile for me?
Whatever you're in right now,
Smile for me.
smile.
Can you just smile for me?
And my people say,
Oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you You look so much better when you You look so much better when you
I say,
You look so much better when you
and while you waiting,
You look so much better when you
yeah, and while you praying,
You look so much better when you
look in the mirror.
You look so much better when you
Always remember,
You look so much better when you smile.
Come on.
I almost gave up.
I almost gave up, but that Holy Ghost power, y'all,
Fell from heaven,
came down from heaven. Hardships, difficulties,
Right now,
tears, storms. This is what I do.
I smile. Even though I hurt, see, I smile.
But that feels good.
I know God is working, so I smile.
All things are working.
Even though I'm in it for a while,
Still,
I smile. Smile.
hallelujah.
So hard to look up when you've been down.
I know it's hard right now
Sure would hate to see you give up now.
because you're a winner.
You look so much better when you smile.
You look better.
So smile.
Dallas,
You look so much better when you
New
You
Orleans,
look so much better when you
come on, Cleveland,
You look so much better when you You
Detroit,
look so much better when
yeah,
You
Philly,
look so much better when you
Jersey,
So much better when you
LA.
So much better when you
All my people say,
You look so much better when you smile.
see, I just don't want you to be happy, because then you got to have something happen then. I want you to have joy, because can't nobody take that from you. I see you. Smile.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Dr. Cynthia Vidu. Dr. Vidu is the owner and founder of CBN Marketing Resource Center, LLC. She's got some really, really good stuff going on in her world, and I hope that you will take advantage of getting to know her a little bit better. My next guest is Dr. Helen Powell Stoddard. Dr. Helen is a duly trained board certified physician in internal medicine and physical medicine and rehabilitation. She was only one of 2 doctors accepted at the prestigious Johns Hopkins Sinai Hospital program each year. Dr. Helen is also fellowship trained in sports medicine and non-surgical orthopedics with additional training in interventional pain. Now, at the beginning of her 3rd year of medical school, Dr. Helen lost her mother to the diet-exacerbated illness of type 2 diabetes, and subsequently her dad to metastatic cancer exacerbated by type 2 diabetes. Today, Dr. Helen's focus is on reversing type 2 diabetes, and she's authored the books Reverse It and the Reverse It Success Journal. The pair serve as the foundation for an intensive program for reversing this potentially deadly disease. She's also the host of the show Creative Cooking, where she creates and shares recipes to reverse type 2 diabetes. And I'll be the first to confess, I'm not watching the show enough if it's on right now, or if it's in syndication, or if it's on YouTube, but I got to find out because I'm always looking for cool ways to create for my own personal diabetes journey, because I always say I've been diagnosed with diabetes, but diabetes does not have me. My A1C or my check this morning was 75, and my last A1C was 5.6. And so I feel like Kenny Anderson is doing what he got to do. Dr. Helen, what's up?
What is happening? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that I've been able to catch up with you now. I know you're always on the run and always doing something fun and creative, but I'm glad you're taking a little time with us this afternoon.
I am totally excited to be here. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to just share a little bit with your audience.
Yeah, you know, when you're growing up, and I'm going to talk for myself, when I was growing up, you heard a lot about heart disease and heart attacks, and that was a little scary. And every now and then, this is me now, when I'm growing up, you hear a little bit about stroke every now and then. That's kind of scary. And then, of course, back in the day, they'd say the C word, talking about cancer, and that was kind of scary. I mean, we talked about diabetes, but it didn't seem like the killer that it is today. And I'm very fascinated by this because, of course, as I said, I've been diagnosed with it and I'm doing everything I can to keep it at bay. You had 2 parents that lost their lives as a consequence of exacerbation created from this disease. Just talk to me a little bit about that and the intersection of you being a medical professional and having to confront these challenges.
Yes, Kenny, I can tell you that it was a really difficult time for me, as you said, during right between my 2nd and 3rd year of medical school. My mom I lost my mom to congestive heart failure. She had heart disease. She had renal disease, mini kidney disease. She was overweight. She had lots of inflammation, lots of joint pains. She was having what's called peripheral neuropathy, so some damage to the nerves. So she had that kind of pain. Now, the fortunate thing is that she didn't have any problems with amputations or anything of that nature, but I had an aunt who did. So it is very clear that there are so many things that type 2 diabetes or diabetes in and of itself can cause, and to actually be at a point where, you know, I'm in medical school and I'm feeling like I'm there, like I'm learning these things. Part of the reason that I went to medical school was because of my family. And here I am in medical school, I'm losing my mother and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
That was very devastating.
It's got to be devastating too, because I can only imagine, you know, you're going to school for this top-notch training, and it's like you're going to walk away from this experience, you know, super skilled to be able to do so many kinds of things. You probably even almost feel like you have an S on your chest, you know, you can just do it, you can make it happen. And then, just like you said, the frailty of the disease is that there's nothing you can do about it. And you've got to confront it. And then after losing your mom, you lose your dad.
That's exactly right. It's interesting because at that time, you know, you talk about nobody mentioned the intensity of the disease, particularly when I was growing up and I knew that my mother had diabetes. they called it a little sugar, right? You have a little
Yes.
sugar. And you know, all
Yes.
I can think of is that, you know, a little sugar is how I greet my husband when I come home. It's that thing that I give my husband when I leave the house. That's
Right.
what a little sugar is. A little
Right.
sugar and diabetes are antithetical.
Mm.
Diabetes
Mm.
can cause so many untoward effects because of this chronic inflammatory process, this problem with circulatory compromise, meaning that the blood is not circulating properly to allow the adequate nutrition to go to the various organs of the body that your body needs.
Mm.
When you lose that adequate circulation, you end up with things like heart problems. You end up with things like strokes. You end up with things like kidney failure or pancreatic compromise. The pancreas is responsible for secreting the insulin that actually helps to control the blood sugar. And so when you see all of these things happening, this chronic inflammatory process, it is not just a little sugar. And it's interesting that my dad, when I was in high school, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And it was the prostate cancer that we thought, oh my, you know, that the C word, as you call it, the C word was always such a big deal. Oh my God, my dad has cancer. And it turned out that he had surgery and they were able to catch it. It was small, it was local. We thought we're good. And then in 1993, when we lost my mom she actually coded in November of 1992. And I was in DC, I was at Howard University at the time, and my sister, I had two sisters that were there with me. We got in the car to drive home because my mom had coded. Nobody was talking. We were quiet. It was the worst blizzard that we had seen. And we're driving down the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and we were like, "Hey, should we go?" Like it was almost like if I don't go, then it won't be true. But if it is true and we don't go and we don't see her, then we're going to be like devastated for life. So the three of us got on the road, went through every turnpike before we got to the Indiana Turnpike where my parents were in Maryville, Indiana. And she was in the hospital. She had coded, she had, you know, she was, you know, connected to lots of instruments. And I remember her opening her eyes. She was very tired. She was really interested in staying awake. She felt like if she closed her eyes again, she wouldn't open them again.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. I'm here in medical school. You know, we're happy that she had coded. They revived her. We're like, okay, you know, I was praying, God, please give my mom more time. Please take care of her. And he did. I was so grateful that I was able to see her and talk to her and touch her and kiss her and hold her and show her how much we loved her. She had, you know, my parents had 8 children. All of us walked into the room to just be there with her during this time, and she enjoyed it. And I was sitting there and I knew she was tired and I knew that was detrimental, but here I am, you know, I had just finished just the classroom work. I didn't really know enough about the clinical aspect of it. I knew things in theory, but I didn't know them in practice. And I just know that she was tired. And I was like, Mom, you got to get some rest. I didn't know at the time that she was afraid to close her eyes. I didn't know at the time that she thought that if she closed her eyes, she would never open them again. So I told her, and this, you know, sometimes you feel like, man, why did I do that? I said, Mom, you got to go to sleep. If you don't, I'm going to have them give you something to make you rest. And I think, you know, when I look back on that time, I almost feel like she felt betrayed, you know, because she's like, I can't go to sleep. I don't want to go to sleep. Don't have them make me go to sleep. And here I am, her daughter, thinking that I'm doing the right thing and not realizing what she was feeling at the time. You know, I mean, you just don't know until you're in that situation.
Yeah.
It was the most devastating, horrible thing. My mom, though, was able to be discharged from the hospital and she went home. She was on so many medications. She had medications for her kidneys, for her blood pressure. She had medications for her heart. She had medications because there was fluid retention and they had to get the fluid off of her. There were problems with her breathing. When I was in medical school, my mom was in and out of the hospital more than she was home.
Wow.
It was absolutely horrible. And I was thinking, I remember her doctor, Dr. Carey, said, it's just a little sugar. Well, no, that's not just a little sugar. She had all of the problems of inflammation. I don't fault him. That was many years ago. We didn't know then how devastating the disease was. This was something that was really developing. It was becoming new. But what we are seeing is that disease has now crept and become so common in the thread of our society that we're seeing more and more people. It's interesting that I did a talk at a conference last year. And in that conference, I talked about the fact that there were 462 million people worldwide with diabetes. Just months later, I'm now talking about 539 million people with type 2 diabetes. Do you see how quickly the numbers are changing? If we don't do something about it, we are going to just continue to increase it. Now we know that there's about 10% of the US population that has type 2 diabetes, that has diabetes. 10% of the population, that's a huge number, right? That should never happen. We know that same number is about 9.2% worldwide. So somewhere around 10%. This is kind of the way it's the trend that we're seeing this diabetes. And so we know now all of these different complications that the disease can just these seemingly insurmountable things that are happening. But we've made some really significant discoveries as well. Like we know that there are all of these different medications that we can use to lower your blood sugar. We know that we can use these medications to lower your blood pressure. We know that all of these things can happen. But the thing that bothered me the most about my mom was that she was on medications for these various conditions, but then she was on medications for the side effects of some of the medications right? And so it's interesting that back then they always told us there was really just nothing that we could do about it. But I've learned so much since then that we can do a lot about it, and that it really has a lot to do with what you put at the end of your fork.
Now, Dr. Helen, now you know you done gone to meddling. You done gone to meddling now.
Yes, indeed.
Folk were empathizing with you and talking about what a terrible journey that was, and difficult and challenging. And then, wait a minute, now you're messing with my fork. Here's the thing, right? And this is where the rubber meets the road in this conversation. Every time we get here, now we know that we have arrived where we need to arrive, because we really are what we eat. And it's up to us to process that for what it is and make the choice about our life that best suits our health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The interesting thing is that, Kenny, I'm sure you were the same as me. When I was growing up, we saw signs all over the place that said you are what you eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't see that anymore. I venture to say that we don't want to know that we are what we eat.
And
because if I know that I am what I eat, then that means that I can't eat some of the things that I want to eat. Right?
Now, see, you're meddling again now. Come on.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Absolutely.
Listen.
Well, for many years, people were just said, well, my mom had it, so I know I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
I know it's in my genes.
Yeah.
But it's not in your genes. The genes are something that makes suggestions. They make one of my mentors, I love the way he says this, is Neil Barnard. He's also a guru in the field of diabetes and diet. And he says that your genes make suggestions. Like there are certain genes that are available to, that are in our system, that's in our DNA, that determine things that are like the color of your eyes, whether your earlobe is attached or detached, whether you have a thin nose or a wider nose. Like those are things that are they are going to happen, whether it be an autosomal dominant, meaning it's going to show up in every generation or not. That is something that you can determine. I'm going to look like my mother and father because their genes made me, and so I look like them. But then there are other genes that are suggestions that say, hey, you know, you got this propensity to not metabolize your blood sugar very well. But if you do the things that decrease the inflammation in your body, then you won't have to worry about that. Right? And so we have to know these genes are suggestions for us and not determinants of us.
Listen, that's a great way to think about it. I'm watching the clock, and already I know I'm going to have you come back. We're going to have to do this in waves because there's so much to talk about. But before you leave today, we've got about 4 minutes, literally. Give me a couple of quick tips on how one might go about reversing diabetes, just the concept of that in terms of maybe what I choose to eat, how I choose to eat, when I choose to eat.
Yeah, you know what? If I were to give you one major tip, I would say that 80% of what happens in your circulation is because of your diet. That 80% matters when your blood is thicker. That's what inflammation is. It makes your blood a lot thicker. And if you could just imagine like peanut butter going through a water hose. You're pushing peanut butter through a water hose. You're not going to get much peanut butter. Right? But then you think about water going through a hose. When water is going through the hose, you'll get plenty of water unless it's kinked somewhere. Our job is to unkink it and allow the blood to flow like water or similar to water. And we do that with one thing. I just think this is amazing because I think God is amazing. So in Genesis 1:29, he says, listen, I'm going to give you everything that has seeds in it. I want you to eat that. And everything that produces seeds, I want you to eat that. That was the original diet. People talk about, and might I add, the only diet that has been proven to reverse type 2 diabetes and to keep it away. The only one. So you might say, well, the keto will do it for a short period of time. And then that fat starts to build up, and then it starts to increase your risk of heart disease and all the other things again. So it's very interesting. So if I were to give one piece of advice, I would say heed to Genesis 1:29. Now, what I have done is people, I do presentations and I speak internationally and nationally. And one of those, sometimes I will speak and I will do cooking demonstrations. And I was in Illinois at a presentation, and I was talking about I was going to make these dishes, and the pastor of the church, he's just a big jokester. He says, "Are we going to be eating thorns and thistles and and sprigs and whatever?" I laid out a meal for him. He was like, "Whoa, I didn't know." I stand corrected. So my goal really, in that cooking show that I hosted is really just to show you how to do Genesis 1:29 deliciously.
And, so much of what we do around nutrition is based on habit as well as sight and taste.
Absolutely.
And so much of what we have to do in terms of focusing on what's best for us is to redirect some of that energy that moves into negative areas that has the potential to harm us and decrease the amount of life that we are blessed to have, and do things that are much more productive. Dr. Helen, it's been great talking to you today. I got to get out of this segment because I got one last segment, but I got to let people know how to reach you. If you got a website, phone number, social media presence, tell them what's up.
Absolutely. So I can be reached at or my website is www.pain, the number 2, W healthcare.com. Okay. Pain to wellness healthcare.com. Sorry. Pain to wellness healthcare. I'm doing 2 different sites. I have another site that's p2whealth.com that is an immune booster where you can purchase an immune booster that God has blessed me with a formula to help really boost your immune system. But the website is pain to wellness healthcare.com. The other way that you can reach me is at our office number. I do accept clients, and we do everything 100% virtually, which I really love because it's opened up a huge audience, a way for me to be able to help so many people, both nationally and now internationally as well, to help people reverse type 2 diabetes. And so I can be reached there with my social media on Dr. Helen PS. On Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Dr. Helen PS. My office number is 256-325-5700. And so, yeah, those are ways that I can be reached. You can also email us at info@p2whealth.com.
Helen, it's been absolutely fantastic having this chance to chat with you today. There will be more opportunities in the future, and I look forward to those. And you know, I can't let you get away without giving a shout out to my man, your husband, John. Tell him I said, what's up?
I sure will. I'm in the airport, as you can probably see. We're kind of flying from one place to another. We've been traveling a lot. So when I get to see him, I'm going to definitely tell him. I'll talk to him too.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. All right. Dr. Helen joining us this afternoon as a duly trained board certified physician in internal medicine and physical medicine and rehabilitation. She's only one of 2 doctors accepted at the prestigious Johns Hopkins Sinai Hospital program each year that she was studying for her degree. Dr. Helen is also fellowship trained in sports medicine and non-surgical orthopedics with additional training in interventional pain. After having lost both of her parents to exacerbated illnesses as a result of type 2 diabetes, she deeply has invested her focus as a medical doctor in reversing diabetes. And we're just so happy to have her here today as the owner of Pain to Wellness Healthcare. If you want to learn more about the work that she's doing, reach out to her and learn some more. I know she disturbed some of y'all, but look at your fork. Look what's on the end of that fork. We won't guilt you too bad on this broadcast. We'll just try to inspire you to think about a different way and a different health style. We'll be back in just a moment with more of our broadcast and our final guest for the broadcast today in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having a fantastic afternoon.
Marvelous grace of our loving Lord, grace that exceeds our sin and our guilt. Yonder on Calvary's mount outpoured, there where the blood of the Lamb was spilled. Grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. It's grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Dark is a stain that I cannot hide. What can avail to wash it away? there is flowing a crimson tide, brighter than snow you may be today. Grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin. Marvelous, infinite, matchless grace, freely bestowed on all who believe. You that are longing just to see his face, will you this moment his grace receive? It's grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, it's God's grace, grace that is greater than all our sin.
This is Edward James Olmos. Did you know that today 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic? That means many of the future doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net. Brought to you by the Hispanic Scholarship Fund and the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you're enjoying our Memorial Day weekend broadcast. It is a beautiful day today, and it's an opportunity for us here at the Second Chance broadcast to share lots and lots of good information, and we're going to just keep the ball rolling at this time. My next guests are up and ready, and so I'm going to go ahead and introduce them at this time. Cersei Blue is a faith-based health coach and seminary graduate with a master's in divinity. She overcame heart disease, and together with Gigi Carter is a certified nutritionist, diplomat, and certified lifestyle medicine professional through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and a fitness expert. They together created Healthy for My Purpose, a program birthed during the pandemic to address the impact of comorbidities and the disproportionate number of COVID-19 deaths in the Black community, and so much more. Gigi could not join us today, but Cersei's here, and we're so glad that she is. Please give our regards to Gigi. But what's happening, Cersei? Is your microphone on?
Hi, how are you?
Oh,
I'm
there
excited
you
to be
go.
here.
Oh, no, it's perfectly okay. It's good to see you again. We met when you came down for the Health Equity Conference here in Huntsville this
Yes,
past spring.
yes,
Kind
yes,
of a
we
big
did.
deal.
That was an awesome conference, and it's a pleasure to be here. I heard so many good things about second chances, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I've heard some things about it too, and I just kind of keep showing up to do the show. So, I'm glad you're
Yeah,
here with us
yeah,
today. Joining us
yeah.
also is Reverend Demetria Edwards, an ordained minister and licensed Arkansas and New York attorney. I happen to be a native of the great city of New York City. Demetria is a graduate of Howard University. I want to say great, but I realize I'm going to just say great on everything here. The great
Yeah.
New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary and the great University of Arkansas School of Law. She's been a participant in a Healthy for My Purpose program for a little more than 2.5 years. We're going to hear her story today, and she's a resident of Lake Village, Arkansas. Reverend Edwards, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
It's great to have both of you here today. When I first heard about this program, I got really excited because I have, over the last, I'll say 15, 16 years, really turned my attention to my health.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything that was going wrong. And this is one of the most valuable things that happened in my experience. I just had one of my biannual doctor's appointments. And he said, look, Kenny, you're getting older. Your numbers are good. But as you get older, you're going to age. Things are going to change. There's certainly things you can do to, hold on and delay certain kinds of things. He said, but you really need to take a look at some of the things you're doing right now. Maybe more exercise, more nutritional intake of fruit and vegetables and that kind of stuff. And I mean, he was really saying all these things. And for like the first time in a really long time, I took him seriously and I made some major changes. So when I saw this particular initiative, Healthy for My Purpose, I was very interested in learning about not only what it is, but what it has done for someone.
Yeah.
And so, Gigi and Cersei, when I talked, I said, I'd love for you guys to come on, but bring somebody who's benefited from the experience. But I'm going to let you, first of all, tell us a little something about just why you developed this program and what your focus was in terms of putting this all together.
Yeah. So I'll tell you just very quickly how the Lord kind of just birthed this ministry with us. It actually started in the last trimester of my pregnancy. I was actually diagnosed with high blood pressure. And at the time, to be honest, I didn't really think anything of it because my mother had high blood pressure. My grandmother had high blood pressure. So did my aunts, my uncles. So I really just thought, well, it's just, part of the process. And so what I didn't know then that I know now is that women who are diagnosed with high blood pressure during their pregnancy are at a higher risk for complications before, after, and during their delivery. And this is actually higher for African American women. And so when I went into my delivery, I actually had a complication and my son lost oxygen to his brain. And so he had to be flight lifted out to a major city. And so he was never able to fully recover because of the time that he lost the oxygen. And so for the first year of his life, we really had to have around the clock care for him and things like that. And so as you could imagine, that was very stressful. But a little bit after his first birthday, he ended up passing away. And as you could imagine, as a mom, as a family, it was perhaps the most traumatic thing that I've ever been through, because I think you kind of live most of your life just taking it for granted that you're going to your kids are going to outlive you. And so you just grew up thinking that. And so when that table shifted, it was very traumatic. And so at that time, I had a lot of family support and things like that, but I was at the darkest place in my life. So here we are, just shifting it to the health perspective. I think I had gained the most weight. I was using food. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but during stressful times, I was using food to cope emotionally, right? Even though I was praying and going to church and I had family support and all these things, and my blood pressure, of course, was escalating. And so, just out of the blue, a friend of mine called me and she said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be doing the Daniel fast. Do you want to jump in on this?" And I remember at the time thinking, you know what? For those of you who don't know what the Daniel fast is, it's pretty much a whole food plant based diet where you are also combining this with prayer and scripture and community and all of that. But it's more of a stringent whole food plant based diet. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I've done that before, but I'm in a pickle right here. I'm trying to like cope, you know. I don't know if I want to do the Daniel fast." I said, "But if I do it with you, I'm going to add eggs and I'm going to add cheese." And I just going on this laundry list of how I was going to modify this Daniel fast to join her. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I now know this was the Holy Spirit, but at the time I was so arrested. She said, "Listen, if you're going to do this Daniel fast, you're going to have to do it exactly the way it's designed." And I just felt this spiritual arrest in that moment.
Mm.
And I said, "Okay, I'm going to do it." And so I followed the Daniel fast to the utmost. You know, we were in fellowship, we were in prayer, but we were also eating exactly the way it was designed. And I can't tell you, Kenneth, if it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but it was if the heavens opened up. My
Mm.
blood pressure regulated. I lost weight. I had
Mm.
mental and spiritual clarity. And
Mm.
here's the kicker that I think a lot of times we can't quantify, but I heard the voice of God more clearly. And all of these things happened in this moment. And so I was like, "God, what had just happened?
Mm.
Was this a miracle? Did you just open the heavens and this was some?" And also too, my depression was gone. So here I
Mm.
was, all of this, it was almost like a new lease on life. And I was like,
Mm.
"How could this be, God?" All I did different was change what was at the end of my fork. All I did different was change what I was putting into my temple. What happened here? And so I started to do a lot of research because I wanted to find out, was this just a miracle that I need to go on the road with? Or was what was happening here? And what I found out was that, again, the Daniel fast, which is basically a whole food plant-based diet, was the only diet that has ever been proven to not only reverse high blood pressure, not only help you to lose weight, not only help with diabetes, but it was also preventative for cancers and preventative for mental health and depressions and so many other things. And I was like, "God, what happened? Where was I in all of this? You know, how did I miss the memo?" And so I circled back and I started to really look at the Daniel fast in the Bible from a different perspective,
Mm.
in the fact that Daniel refused the king's diet and he was healthier than his peers. And so I got a spiritual revelation in that because for
Mm.
so long I've been reading that scripture of, you know, do the Daniel fast in January for like 10 days and then go back to my regular way of eating. But I missed the spiritual lesson that God was showing me all of these years that I've been going back and forth with the Daniel fast, that here was the clinical studies that I had been reading in all of these journals, but here was the first clinical study that was in the Bible that shows when you put to the test someone
Mm.
who is eating a whole food plant-based diet and you put it to the test of people that are eating the king's diet, standard American diet, we could sub that in there, we are healthier than your peers. And
Mm.
so that sparked something in me. And from there, I felt this mission to help people connect their food to their faith. Because
Mm.
what I realized, what was happening as believers, as women specifically, but believers in general, is that we were using our faith to make every single decision in life. Where am I getting married? Where am I going to school? What ministry? What church? Blah, 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 blah. But we took faith off of the kitchen table.
Mm.
And so that allowed me to realize that God was saying, "Hey, we need to help people to get back into alignment." Because here's the thing, and this is where Healthy for My Purpose got developed out of this, you know. And I ended up meeting Gigi, and she was on the same path. She reversed her heart disease and all of that, and God connected us in this powerful way. Because here's the thing, what we realized is that if we are not healthy, what it is doing, it is not only just affecting us physically, but it is actually affecting our ability to carry out the purpose that is within us.
Yeah.
And so here we are thinking that we are struggling about chicken and fries and junk food, when really there is an enemy behind the scenes
Mm.
trying to tamper with God's mission.
Mm.
And he has been allowed, or he has been doing this through havoc of what we eat every day. And I say this all the time, that a lot of times we don't realize that we're under spiritual attack for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you're a snacker, snacks too. And so all of this is what allowed Gigi and I to come together and realize, how can we create something that not only teaches people how to do the Daniel fast once, because that's what I did. I did it and never stopped, instead of going back and forth, but do it in a way that they were able to connect their faith, that they would connect their values, to keep them on the path long term. Because here's the thing: if you see what you're putting in your mouth as a spiritual practice, it changes the game of how you interact with food. And so it moves you from this idea of, I'm trying to diet, I'm trying to fit into a black dress, I'm trying to get to a sister's wedding. It moves all of that, because now you realize that it's a holy act, that I am now eating so that I can protect or guard the purpose that God has for my life. And so we
Yeah.
developed this. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
No. Listen, wow. I mean, there's so much to unpack in terms of what you just shared, and the tremendous authenticity of your story. I mean, it's just so powerful in so many ways that has led you to this point. And of course, one of the reasons that you and Gigi, of course, put this together was to touch other people, to impact other people, to share with other people. And one of the people who this Healthy For My Purpose Academy has impacted is our other guest, Reverend Edwards. Talk to me a little bit, Reverend Edwards, about how you became aware of this initiative and what attracted you to it. What was going on in your life?
Yes. Well, I have quite the story as well. Just initially, I was praying. I had reached a point in my life. As you can hear, I have this background. Well, I had many goals in life, and God had called me to a thing, and I also was called to the work of justice. But about 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with what is called a terminal cancer. It has no cure, multiple myeloma, which is a blood-based cancer. Normally, this cancer is people in their 60s or above, and mostly men have it. Actually, African-American men have this cancer the most. I had never heard of it in my life, and I was in my mid to late 30s when I was diagnosed. Wow. Yes. Okay, so here it was. When this happened, I was a professor at a small Baptist college in Arkansas, just teaching biblical studies and some criminal justice courses, just enjoying life, feeling like these things have come together. There's this perfect pairing of, faith and this justice, and all these things are happening. I get diagnosed with this cancer, and it seemingly began to interrupt even my ability to dream about a future. I was told by doctors at MD Anderson in Houston that I had about 5 years to live after that, and so that's been 13 years ago. So I give glory to God for that. But in the midst of this time, I was praying. I was like, Lord, help me. I need some strength. I become so tired, so fatigued. So in this 13 years, I've been on chemo for the 13 years. I've had 3 stem cell transplants, high dose chemotherapy. All these things were happening. I also ended up, because there's a lot of steroids that accompany the treatments, I ended up developing steroid-induced diabetes. And that A1C level that measures diabetes, I think goes to like a 14. My highest level was like an 11.8. It was out of control, eventually on insulin, all the things. I gained a great deal of weight. I already needed to probably lose some, but I gained so much weight. Well, anyway, I began to pray, and I found these ladies, Gigi Carter and Cersei Blue, on Facebook. I prayed, and there was a commercial that came up, the little ads. I never pay attention to those ads. I don't. But something about Cersei and Gigi, and like you just said, their authenticity, it just drew me in. I felt like God was speaking. God has spoken. And I ended up going to, I think they did like a 4-day thing. It's turned to 5-day boot camp now. But they did a boot camp, and I went to that, and it just totally arrested me. And so I was drawn into it, and my life has not been the same since. You know, I know you'll probably ask more. I can give you some stats, some things that have happened in terms of reversal. I've lost 95 pounds and kept it off. And I've been on the program for 2 years and 8 months and developed a whole food plant-based diet. I never had any desire to become whole food plant-based in my life. I mean, maybe a little bit of vegetarianism, but not vegan all the way. You know, that was never, I was like, oh, I'll do this. And I could barely walk to the corner without pain. Pain was gone. I went from not being able to do that to walking 4 miles easily. And I just had my 50th birthday and I'm now a cyclist. I was inspired by Gigi, who's actually she races. She has raced. I just cycle, you know, I ride, she raced. But I did 50 miles on my 50th birthday on a bicycle. And, and any multiple myeloma patient will talk to you about the fatigue and all the things. And it's a blood-based cancer, but it impacts your bones. And so there's all these things. But I began to dream again. I ran for public office. It was not successful, but I ran for judge and only lost by 200 votes. But I had this community surrounding me. But before then, I wasn't even dreaming anymore, Mr. Anderson. So this program, God drew me to these ladies, and my life has been transformed as a result of it.
Well, listen, we only literally have about 4.5 minutes left. We're going to get as much as we can in 4.5 minutes, but please come back. Please come back. You have to come back because we have to continue to develop this story. Here's what I wanted to ask you real quickly, Reverend Edwards. What does your medical team say? What do the medical professionals say about what they're seeing when you go see them?
Particularly my endocrinologist, she's like, I need to bring you in and get you on staff to talk to the rest of all of my patients.
Right.
Her name is Dr. Elena Ambrogini, and I tell you, at UAMS in Little Rock, Arkansas. And she said that she's amazed. She said, I wish all of my patients were like you. And even on my oncology team, we're still in the journey with multiple myeloma, but they're just amazed every time I come in to see all the improvements in every area of my life. Yes. And so they really are amazed by the whole thing.
Yeah, I can only imagine because it defies so much of what people think about in terms of traditional science and traditional disease. And there's so many people who resign themselves to the diagnosis and they kind of surrender and they give up. And clearly we're hearing stories today of how that doesn't have to be the story. And it's certainly not the end of the story, which is what this show is all about. This show is called Second Chance. It designates the mercy and the grace of God that in spite of the fact that we are faced with adversity and different kinds of difficult situations in life, that there's always something beyond that if we would just hold on. Cersei, talk to me in the last maybe 3 minutes that we have here about how people can find out more about the Academy, the program. I know you got a website and information. And if people are smart and inspired this afternoon, y'all don't need to even listen to anything else I'm saying. Get over to that website, make that phone call. Once you get this information, I want you to flood that website with messages and questions and responses and all kinds of stuff, because Cersei's about to lay it out for you. Here is an opportunity for you to see your future.
Yeah, so we're at healthyformypurpose.com. We actually have a 5-day, which is what Demetria started off and went into, a 5-day Healthy Christian Woman boot camp. So you'll be able to access that as well. But we also have a book called Daniel Fast, Why You Should Only Do It Once, which kind of gets into everything that we spoke about today. And then we also have danielsplate.com if you're just interested and curious about recipes, about how to eat this way. We also have that. But the main website is healthyformypurpose.com. And so as we see with Demetria, not only did she just get healthy with her diabetes and all of that, but she got healthy for her divine purpose. And so that is the heart of what we are doing, is that we always say that we're not in the health business. We are in the purpose business because we believe God has called everyone and he needs you healthy to do it.
Wow, what a powerful way to close my show today. This has been absolutely amazing. Cersei Blue, Reverend Demetria Edwards. What a powerful testimony of how God has still demonstrated his sustaining power, his healing power. And you all have such powerful testimonies. I know you have other Academy graduates and you probably have some other amazing testimonies.
Yeah.
So it must be something to be in the midst of all of that inspiration and validation about this lifestyle. You got to come back. I'm going to look very soon for another opportunity to come back to figure out what direction we're going, but you got to come back on the platform so that we can talk a little bit more about this.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
All right. Folks, if you aren't inspired by what you just heard, I mean, listen, my goal right now, I'm a vegetarian. My goal is to become a vegan. That's my goal. I am inspired at this moment. I mean, wow. And when I think about the little ways that we sometimes justify the bad behaviors that we embrace nutritionally, a little bit more of this, well, I can't let go of that. Is it really worth it in terms of your life and the way that it can have such a profound impact on your health, a debilitating effect? What powerful testimonies today, folks. I'm going to come back in just a moment and tell you a little bit more about what we got going on next Sunday on the broadcast. And I'll do that in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share, or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
It's literally been an absolutely amazing show on today. That's what Second Chance is all about. And we've given you a healthy dose of that today, starting out with Dr. James Strong, Executive Director of Fountain of Life Community Development Corporation, joined by his volunteer assistant executive director of the Fountain of Life Community Development Corporation, Delinda Morris. My good friend, Dr. Denver Betts, the chair of the board of the Huntsville Bible College. We're so glad to have him on talking about the Big Vision Banquet that's coming up real soon. We hope that you take advantage of that. Dr. Cynthia Vidu, she, of course, is Vado. Excuse me. I just keep butchering Dr. Vado's name, and that's just awful. Dr. Cynthia Vado is the CEO founder of See Beyond Marketing Resource Center, LLC. And what a great conversation that she shared with us. Of course, my very good friend, Dr. Helen Powell Started, the owner of Pain to Wellness Healthcare, talking about reversing diabetes. I'm rushing because I know I'm running late. And also Cersei Blue joining me today. She's a co-founder of an organization that is making a difference in people's lives, Healthy for My Purpose Academy. They've got books, they've got programs, they have processes, they have all kinds of great things. And someone who's benefited greatly from that experience, Reverend Demetria Edwards, joining us on this afternoon. On next Sunday, it's What's Going On, my social and political roundtable discussion. We'll have some combination of the fellows or the ladies with us on next Sunday, talking about all of the topics that I'm sure you're talking about as well. We'll lend insight and perspective into those things. We'll do that on next Sunday, beginning at 2:00. In the meantime, I hope that you have a great rest of the week. Remember, as always, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.